Our dashboard section of our Training Peaks account is where the magic happens. This is where all that data now gets to be analyzed and gets to visually be presented to us. You can create any number of graphs and charts and spreadsheets here in your dashboard. I'm just going to highly overview just a couple here, but play with this and develop your own. Now I'll have graphs and charts of your account on my end that you won't necessarily see that I'll create, but for your own benefit and usage, again, experiment with this, go through and play with it and learn all the graphs and things available and start utilizing this data for your own benefit. But one here that I want you to become really familiar with here is your performance management chart. This is, again, an overall view of those three numbers that you're going to consistently see in front of you. Your fitness, that center number, is this shaded mountain. Again, it's the algorithm based on how are you completing the workouts and the demand that's required of you, how well are you completing those and adapting to those. And so as you can see, there are going to be build phases here, there's going to be recovery weeks and phases, and of course there's going to be tapering phases, and you can see here this is the holidays where I wasn't doing much of anything except enjoying myself. But these individual dots here, and as you can see this white box that's continually populating here, these white dots that are up here in the graph are individual workouts. These dots down here at the bottom of the page are days that there were no workouts, or there was a blank day, or workouts that were not completed. So as you can see, there's lots of days that are interspersed here as days off or recovery days, and obviously lots and lots of workout days as well. This pink line here is your fatigue line, so you can see as fitness is building, you're doing more and more work, that your fatigue, overall fatigue in your body's growing. So this is a 7-day average of your fatigue over 7 different days. So you can see that this fatigue is going to ebb and flow throughout different parts of the macro cycles and micro cycles here of your training plan. The yellow line here is your form. This is your readiness to train. This is your recovery. And as you can see, as your fatigue is increasing, your readiness to perform is decreasing. They're inverses of each other. So as you are training here, you can see right here, this dark dot right here, this was a race for me. And you can see that my readiness to train, or excuse me, my readiness to perform has improved, and my fatigue has greatly dissipated here. So I was ready to roll on race day. And then this very sharp spike here was the race itself. As you can imagine, this was a half Ironman, and so that fatigue for that entire race was really high. You can see the same thing here. This was a race earlier in the year, and of course the fatigue for that race was really high. I did not taper for that particular race. It was not a quote A race, but this particular race here was an A race, so I made sure that I tapered really well for that race. You can see my fitness was dropping here, but that was planned, and my readiness to compete and perform improved. My fatigue dissipated. We were ready to race. So again, all of these metrics are coming from the daily workouts that you complete. So it's really important that you complete those so that you can be prepared for whatever event you have on the horizon. Speaking of events, these this race report here is a simple spreadsheet that's populated from the results tab of your different races. So as you are completing races, you are then populating those along the way. If you go back and put that information in or connect your smartwatches or apps to your workouts so that it can be populated. These are really good place to be able to compare races to each other. And with the settings here, you can go back and look at specific sports over specific time frames, so forth and so on. The metrics here that we just spoke about in our earlier video, here are a few examples of them being graphed. As an example, I've graphed my weight against my overall feeling and really honed in on what weight made me feel the best so that I could shoot for that for race day. And so that I'd have, be at my optimum race weight, but at the same time feel my best. Also, sleep versus fatigue, great metrics to see against each other. Are we getting enough sleep in relationship to the fatigue that we're feeling, and or not? Another couple of graphs that I would highly recommend that you build are your nutrition graphs. So if you connect MyFitnessPal app to your Training Peaks app or any other nutrition tracking app that is available to connect to Training Peaks, it's going to pull in your calories that are being consumed on a daily or a weekly or monthly basis. And again, you can control that data here and what you want to see with the settings here. Here, this graph here I love because it's tracking your macronutrients of carbs, fat, and protein. Those three macros are the most important. So those are going to be a little different when you're training hard and you're in build phases and you're working really hard, as opposed to a week or two of taper. You're going to want to eat differently and consume varying amounts of carbs and fats and protein. And so it's going to break down those percentages here from the app and visually graph those here so that you can say, hey, I'm getting enough calories, I'm getting enough carbs to perform this extensive work. I'm also getting enough protein to recover from. And again, great information to graph. I won't go into all the details of all of these particular graphs, but as you could imagine, it's almost endless the amount of information that you could graph and graphs that you could create here. So again, explore and have fun and utilize this data to your benefit.